It's 6 in the morning. You're still in your pajamas. Coffee hasn't even finished brewing. Then you hear it. A loud knock at your front door. You look through the peephole and see several people in uniforms. One of them says, "Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Open the door." Your heart is pounding. Your family is behind you. What you say in the next 30 seconds will determine whether they enter your home or walk away. Most people panic. They open the door because they think they have to. They answer questions because they think it helps. They let officers inside because they don't know they have a choice. And by the time they realize what happened, it's too late. Their rights are gone. Every single day, families across America face this exact situation. And the vast majority of them make critical mistakes not because they are guilty of anything, but because no one ever taught them what to say. I've spent years studying immigration law, constitutional protections, and hundreds of cases involving home encounters. And I've identified 5 exact phrases that can legally stop ICE at your front door. Miss even one of these, and you could accidentally waive your Fourth Amendment rights. Use all 5 correctly, and you've exercised the full protection the Constitution guarantees you. This is educational content about your constitutional rights. It is not legal advice for your specific situation. If you're facing an immigration matter, consult with a qualified attorney. Let's break down each phrase. The first phrase is the most important 4 words you will ever say at your door. Do you have a warrant? Here's what most people don't realize. Under the Fourth Amendment, your home has the strongest constitutional protection of any place in America. The Supreme Court has been clear about this for over 200 years. Officers cannot enter your home without your consent or a valid warrant signed by a judge. But here's the problem. Most people don't ask. They assume if officers are at the door, they must have permission. They don't. Let me show you what happens when someone doesn't ask. The officer knocks and says, "Immigration. We need to speak with you about a matter. Open the door, please." The person inside panics and opens the door wide. The officer says, "We're looking for someone. Mind if we come in and talk?" The person steps aside and says, "I guess. Come in." The moment those words leave their mouth, they just gave consent. Everything the officers see is now fair game. Any person they find can be questioned. The homeowner invited them in voluntarily. Now here's the right way. Same knock, same officer saying, "Immigration. We need to speak with you." But this time, you speak through the closed door. You say, clearly, "Do you have a warrant?" The officer might say, "We just need to talk to you for a minute." You repeat, "Do you have a warrant signed by a judge?" If they say no, you have not opened that door. You have not consented to anything. Under Florida v. Jardines, your home and the area immediately around it, called the curtilage, has special constitutional protection. Without a warrant, they cannot force entry. But here's the thing most people miss. There are 2 types of warrants, and only one allows entry into your home. An administrative warrant, sometimes called an ICE warrant, is signed by an immigration officer, not a judge. It does not give them the right to enter your home. A judicial warrant is signed by a judge and does authorize entry. If they claim to have a warrant, you say, "Please slide it under the door so I can verify it's signed by a judge." If they won't show it, or if it's only an administrative warrant, you are under no obligation to open that door. That brings us to phrase number 2. I do not consent to entry or search. Even if you've asked about a warrant, officers may still try to get inside. They might say, "Look, if you have nothing to hide, just let us take a quick look around." This is where people crumble. They think refusing looks suspicious. They think cooperating will make things easier. The opposite is true. Cooperation can be used against you. Silence and refusal to consent cannot. Watch how this goes wrong. The officer says, "We're just trying to help you clear this up. If you got nothing to hide, let us come in and we'll be out of your hair in 5 minutes." The homeowner thinks maybe if I just let them look, they'll see everything is fine and leave. So they say, "Okay, fine, come in." That consent just authorized a full search of the home. Anything they find, anyone they encounter, any statement made inside is now evidence. The right way. Same pressure from the officer. "We're just trying to help. Let us in." You say calmly and clearly, "I do not consent to any entry or search." The officer pushes harder. "You're making this difficult. Why won't you cooperate if you've done nothing wrong?" You repeat the exact same words. "I do not consent to any entry or search." You don't argue, you don't explain, you don't justify, you simply repeat. Under the Fourth Amendment, your refusal to consent cannot be used against you, but your consent can absolutely be used against you. Silence protects. Talking exposes. But refusing consent isn't enough on its own, because officers have another tool. Questions. And how you handle questions determines everything. Phrase number 3. I am exercising my right to remain silent. Most people think the Fifth Amendment only applies if you're arrested. Most people are wrong. The Supreme Court made this devastatingly clear in Salinas versus Texas. In that case, a man was being questioned by police. He answered some questions but went silent on one particular question. He didn't say he was invoking his Fifth Amendment right. He just stopped talking. The Supreme Court ruled that his silence could be used against him in court because he never explicitly invoked the right. You must say the words out loud. Here's how this destroys people at their front door. The officer asks through the door, "How many people live here? Is anyone else home right now?" The person thinks these seem like harmless questions. So they answer, "It's just me and my family. My husband is getting ready for work." They just confirmed who was inside. They just provided information that can be used to identify, locate, and detain people. The right way. Same questions from the officer. "How many people live here? Who else is home?" You respond, "I am exercising my right to remain silent." The officer presses, "I'm just asking a simple question." Not a big deal. You say again, "I'm exercising my right to remain silent." You don't answer simple questions. You don't answer harmless questions. You don't answer any questions, because there is no such thing as a harmless question during a law enforcement encounter. Every piece of information you provide can be used to build a case. Now here's where phrase number 4 becomes your insurance policy. I am recording this interaction. In most states, you have the legal right to record law enforcement officers performing their duties in public or at your door. This recording protects you in 2 critical ways. First, it creates evidence. If officers violate your rights, you have documentation. Second, it changes behavior. Officers who know they're being recorded tend to follow proper procedures more carefully. Watch how this works. You've asked about a warrant. You've stated you don't consent. Now you add, "I want you to know I am recording this interaction." Keep your phone visible if you're recording video. Keep your voice calm. The officer might say, "You don't need to record this. We're just talking." You respond, "I am legally recording this interaction for my protection." Do not argue about whether you have the right to record. Do not get into a debate. Simply state that you are recording and continue exercising your other rights. But here's what most people forget. All of these phrases mean nothing if you accidentally invite officers to stay by continuing to engage. Which brings us to phrase number 5. Please leave my property. This one sounds simple. It's actually the phrase people forget most often. After you've established there's no valid warrant, after you've refused consent, after you've invoked your right to remain silent, you need to clearly end the encounter. Otherwise, officers may continue standing at your door, asking questions, applying pressure, waiting for you to crack. Here's the mistake. Someone uses all 4 phrases correctly. No warrant check, refused consent, invoked silence, recording, but then they stand at the door watching through the window. The officers keep talking, keep asking questions. Eventually, the homeowner gets tired, gets frustrated, gets scared. They open the door just to make it stop. All that protection, gone in one moment of exhaustion. The right way. After you've stated your rights, you say clearly, "If you do not have a warrant signed by a judge, I am asking you to please leave my property." Then you step away from the door. You do not watch. You do not engage further. You've made your legal position clear. Now you wait. If they leave, you've successfully exercised your constitutional rights. If they force entry without a warrant, you've preserved your legal challenges for court. Let me put all 5 phrases together one more time. Do you have a warrant signed by a judge? This establishes whether they have legal authority to enter. If no judicial warrant, do not open the door. I do not consent to any entry or search. This protects your Fourth Amendment rights and ensures anything found cannot be justified by your permission. I am exercising my right to remain silent. This invokes your Fifth Amendment protection and prevents your words from being used against you. Remember, Salinas, you must say it out loud. I am recording this interaction. This documents everything and creates accountability. Please leave my property. This formally ends the encounter and removes any ambiguity about whether you wanted them there. Write these down. Put them by your front door. Practice them with your family until everyone knows them by heart. Because when that knock comes, you will not have time to look anything up. You will not have time to think. You will only have the words you've already memorized. One more critical point. Everything I've described assumes you are speaking through a closed door. The moment you open that door, everything changes. Officers can see inside. They might claim they smell something or see something that gives them probable cause. They might say someone inside looks like a person they're searching for. Keep that door closed until you've confirmed there's a valid judicial warrant. And remember this above all. Your rights mean nothing if you don't assert them. The Constitution doesn't protect people who stay silent about their silence. It protects people who clearly, calmly, and repeatedly state their rights out loud. You're not being difficult. You're not being suspicious. You're being a person who knows the law. If you found this helpful, I'd appreciate a subscribe so I can keep making videos like this. This has been general legal education about constitutional rights. If you're facing an immigration situation, work with a qualified attorney who knows your specific circumstances. The smartest families aren't the ones who open doors the fastest. They're the ones who know exactly what to say before that knock ever comes.